Hey everybody, it's Eric Pappenfoos. It's Friday, so it must be a buy day, and we are here in London, Ontario at one of the great used bookstores in the Western world. It is Attic Books. 3 stories of very impressive used books, and I'm going to take you on a tour in just a minute. I really love the architecture of this building. There's an elevator inside, which you'll see in just a second. I'm on my way back to Harrisburg after a very successful trip to Toronto and to Niagara, as you know from last week's buy day. We're now coming into the store, and we're going to say hi to both Abby and Abigail, our clerks. Hi, Abby. Hi, Abigail. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
All right, Abby, I'm going to start with you.
All right.
How long have you been working here?
I think 8 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And what is your favorite part of working in a used bookstore? And I'm just going to pan around and show this amazing collection.
My favorite part about working in a used bookstore is the fact that every day is different. You know, every book is different and every day is different. So I'm on my feet all the time, and I love that. And I love having first dibs of all the stock. And
Okay.
shopping.
What was a book that you got first dibs on fairly recently, maybe, that you were sort of excited to get? It doesn't have to be the most valuable
Sure.
book, but yeah.
Recently I picked up a first edition signed copy of Station 11 by my favorite author, Emily St. John Mandel.
Yeah, nice.
Cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. That's really good. And I'm going to pan over here for a second and show some of the things that I got. And one of the things that I got, and since we're in Canada, it's appropriate, I got a first Canadian edition of Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale. Now, I bet that's a book you see fairly commonly up here, but we don't see it in the States. We see the US edition. And for a Canadian author, we ought to have the first Canadian edition, don't you think? Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm going to let you check this gentleman out. And Abigail, what is your favorite section in the store?
My favorite section.
Yeah. Maybe to purchase books.
To purchase books?
Yeah.
I like romance myself.
Okay. Who's your favorite romance author?
Romance, I'd have to say Emily Henry.
Oh, good. Okay. That sounds really terrific. One of the things I like about the store, do you want to welcome me for a second? We'll chat. Is I love how you integrate the cases with the older books and the newer books so that you really have everything out at once. And I understand that this is a bit of a tourist attraction here. This is the TARDIS. Is there anything which gets more comment than the TARDIS?
People come around and they try opening the door, and since it's an older one, sometimes it doesn't open
Yeah.
if the gate is on the floor.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, everyone loves it. I mean, people sometimes stare when we open and get in, and
And you can get
definitely an
transported
attraction.
both to the upper level, where we're going to go in a moment, but also to the lower level, where all the books are heavily discounted. And Abby, back to you. I was interested in the lower level. Here was an example of a book I bought. This was sort of a cult book, very interesting, but it's gotten marked down again and again and again. So how do you keep your inventory fresh? How do you use the basement as a means of sort of helping process the books?
Yeah, our incredible managers come up with a system where we have a code so we know what month and what year the book was put on the shelf. And so we try to turn stuff over approximately every year, and the basement gets turned over every 6 months.
That's great. So I was very fortunate that this book has been here for a while because it's been all the way marked down to like $3 and some cents, having been marked down again and again and again, which is really cool. All right, we're going to walk upstairs. But before we do, I'm going to show people some of the rare cases here in the Canadian history section, which is really great. So downstairs, underneath the stairs, are all the half-price books. I had a great time there earlier, but here are an example of some of the cases with the older books. And they've done a wonderful job of cataloging those older books so that you don't have to handle them. You can actually just read the descriptions and see the prices and make your decisions. Canadian history is, of course, very strong here, but they also have really strong British and American history. And I particularly enjoyed browsing in all of those sections. But we're going to go upstairs now and meet Jenny, who is one of the more established catalogers here at Attic Books. And we're going to look at a couple of the amazing collections. And we can talk about a book that I purchased from upstairs. Here we go, up the stairs into the incredible second floor. And another thing that you'll notice right away is that, like our collectibles building, they have maps, they have prints, they have photographs, even cameras. We look in the case here. I see scrapbooks. I see a wonderful, absolutely fascinating old cabinet card of an African-American woodcutter. Can you see that? That's really unusual. And then over here, you can get your carte de visites and everything else. But this is Jenny. I met her a little bit earlier and I said, ooh, what are you cataloging? Look at that amazing stack of books. And she told me there was a collection that had just come in of books on Freemasonry. So I thought that might interest our viewers. What do you have here?
Okay, so we do have several antique books about Freemasonry that have just come in.
Wow.
For example, here's a real oldie. It was published
Yeah.
in Philadelphia,
Not far from us.
and that was in 1783.
83.
So it's a very
Right at the end of the
early-
American Revolution. Very early.
very early American book, and as a matter of fact, it's actually dedicated to George Washington,
Oh, wow.
who was a Mason himself.
Yes.
So that's quite interesting.
And of course, president and inaugurated in Philly. This is a really early book for at least the United States in Freemasonry. It's special. It's in sort of a classic Philadelphia binding. I call it classic because it's not. There's no spine label. That's the way it would have been issued. It's not particularly ornate, but we've seen a lot of those in the shop. And then underneath it, there's a book with a more ornate binding.
And this is also kind of pretty. It's burgundy
Let me get the,
leather,
yeah, I'll get the
and it's got some
some sort of cross key
Masonic
effect.
symbols
Yeah.
on the spine.
Yeah.
And again, it's also a very early one, and that's also from Philadelphia. It was
yeah.
published in 1819.
Right. Now this is in the early Republic. The Philadelphia bookbinders are getting a little fancier, but this is still a special binding for them. This key here. Now, basically, early Masonic books are very collectible today, at least in the United States. I assume the same is true in Canada?
Yeah, we have sold quite a few of them over the years. Some of them are Canadian, some are British, and some are American.
And tell me, how did the collection come in, just generally?
Now we do buy collections from various individuals. All of these did come from the same person. This attractive bookplate is at the beginning of each volume.
Yeah, that is nice. And I'll just show, because you do a really great job with your descriptions, and I train people to do this, and I can just say it's just really well done. So how long have you been cataloging books?
14 years.
14 years. Well, that's why it's so well done. And always here?
Always here, yeah.
So how did you know that this was something you wanted to do? Did you just walk in one day and say, could I catalog books, please?
Oh, I've been coming into attic books for years.
Yeah.
So I knew all about it. I knew it was a great place. But I studied at Western University and taken library.
Yes.
I went to library school, and of course that includes cataloging.
Yes.
So naturally it made sense to become a cataloger.
That's wonderful. Some of our employees at the Scholar also have library science background. That's pretty much a smooth transition. And do you live here in London?
I do.
Yeah, I'm really, this is my first time visiting, but it's quite a place. And the book culture must be significant because there are a lot of interesting bookstores. Yeah.
Quite a few.
I'm gonna walk over to the case here and look at the Jules Verne books which you cataloged, if that's okay. We're gonna end with that. Thank you very much for chatting with me. If you go down this row, you're gonna see, I think, perhaps the finest collection of Jules Verne editions, American editions. So these are the English translations I've seen. Now, at the Scholar, where we do specialize in some of these, we have a handful, but we do not have nearly as many as they do. And you can see Jenny has all these wonderful descriptions and the pricing is very good. I want to show you two. Here's Around the World in 80 Days. And if we go lower, you can see the famous copy of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Now, it's famous because the first edition of this book burned in a horrible fire. And this is really the earliest obtainable edition that anyone can get. And I told you that one of the books I bought, and I'll show you on a future buy day, came from the Jules Verne case. Another was the Canadian edition of Margaret Atwood. Now, they have a lot of copies of Margaret Atwood, and I think I'm going to be able to mix this book, maybe match it with some signed Margaret Atwood memorabilia that I got on this trip. So with that, I say thanks for watching. I hope you'll watch next week and every week, Fridays at noon, for more adventures in the world of books.